Okay, so I am here with Jade Bryan today. And I would just like to have a discussion about your experience, growing up black and deaf, and also your journey into the film industry, if we can elaborate on that. So, Jade, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jade Bryan. This is my name sign. And, well, okay, thinking about being black first, I see and identify myself as being black first. I was born in Jamaica. I moved here when I was 5. I'm deaf, even though I speak. And I went to the deaf institution, school for the deaf in White Plains. And I'm here for the interview, so let's get it started.
Okay. So you had just mentioned that you were born in Jamaica and then you moved here when you were 5.
Yes.
So how was that experience with your family? Because, I mean, that's a completely different country, moving from there to here. So how did your family handle that with you
you're
being
freezing up
deaf?
a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see me?
I think, no. I mean, for a few seconds you were frozen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
All right.
freezing.
I'll back up. So for you and, your experience growing up as a child of an immigrant family, how did that affect you being able to pick up ASL here? And how were your parents able to communicate with you? I know they probably speak with you because you're a bit oral, right?
Yeah, so when I moved, my parents didn't know anything related to deafness. I mean, understand that, language deprivation, they didn't understand that, but they didn't realize until later, I didn't pick up sign language until later. When I was 8, I went to the deaf school. And at that time, with my family, I spoke. We gestured. And, we could understand each other. But there were misunderstandings with my family. They thought that I could hear, because I could speak well. But remember that when I was born hearing. So, of course, the challenge for them was something new. They never encountered it before. I was speaking. But I got my first hearing aid when I was 8. So,
wow.
It was a new exposure for them. And it was a challenge for me, yes, because, I was isolated.
Because you needed to adapt to something completely new.
Yeah, we're communicating. So, yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask, actually. That was going to be my next question that I wanted to ask. Like, was that a challenge for you growing up? Like, did that affect... like later in life, did that affect like your career choice and where you went to college?
Well, yes and no. Well, when I went into the deaf school, it gave me a chance to develop my language with signing. Before I was a little awkward still, but I had good friends with my peers. The teachers almost all the teachers loved me. Almost all of my teachers were white.
Right.
But, I mean, that word, what's it called? Teacher's pet. I don't like that phrase, teacher's pet.
Like coddle or like spoil baby?
And no, not quite like that. More like, they paid attention to me. They knew that I was exceptional. They knew that I was smart.
Okay.
They're like, oh, she can read. I was different than my other classmates. It was that,
Right.
that type of time was spent on me.
I get it.
And,
yeah,
did that affect my decision, my choices in making films? No, not really. Not until later.
Right.
It wasn't until later that I discovered filmmaking. But yeah, I went to Gallaudet for 2 years. And then I realized, Gallaudet wasn't for me. And so one positive that, it helped me to find my identity. And I thought that was cool, figuring that out. But I felt that there was nothing much more for me. I was ready for another challenge. So I was ready to move on. Right. And, before I went to Gallaudet, I received a full scholarship at a college called Iona in New Rochelle, New York. And this was for a softball. This is for softball. I was a good softball player, but I decided not to do that and, go to Gallaudet.
Right.
So I decided to go to Gallaudet. I'm not sorry about it. I don't regret it. It was a decision I made for myself. I went there for 2 years. That was dope. And then I went to FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology. And so I was there at FIT for 3 years, and I was able to transfer credits, of course. And then I applied to NYU. When I transferred to NYU, it was for my Bachelor of Fine Arts. I did that in filmmaking, with the filmmaking program. So I did that for 3.5 years. And, you know, with both my AA at FIT and my BFA at NYU, it was beautiful. I loved those experiences. Right. I loved my time there. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about film and, you know, the world of filmmaking. You know, the world thinks highly of me. You know, I'm an innovative filmmaker. You know, I'm creative. I'm sorry, now you're frozen again.
Oh, okay. We're back.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure until you were done freezing. Okay, so where did you last catch before we froze up? I want to make sure.
I think you were actually just completing a topic. And I was just about to ask you another question, actually. Because you had just gotten done talking about your experience with both colleges that you attended, saying that you loved your experiences there, yes. How they really helped you grow and progress personally. Right. And that's actually what I was going to move on to next.
Okay.
Your experience in college, you know, I get it. And then you started to get, you know, more on your path to where your career is.
Right.
So what are some challenges or some pushback that you may have experienced as being, you know, Black and deaf? Yeah, can you elaborate?
As a filmmaker, you mean?
I mean, just, you know, from, you know, being in college, you know, just your whole route to where you are currently.
Oh, well, you know, I can say that, you know, of my hearing classmates that were white, you know, they took off. Their career came up real quick because of the system. You know, Hollywood is a system. It's designed and built for white people, for white men. But, you know, I'm a Black woman, as a woman of color, you know, with other identities. We're not at the front, but, you know, I'm a woman creative. You know, it's a challenge it was a challenge to start on the path. I remember when I got out of film school in 1993, I was ready to work. I was ready to work, you know, in TV, in the film world. Mm-hmm. But I remember during, when was it? I was studying at NYU.
Okay.
I was a sophomore or junior. And I was taking like a Hollywood, like a production internship experience. And it was paid. It was a paid internship. And that was on par with what other students were doing, you know, with paid internships. And I was a production assistant. And our job was full hands on deck. We had a list of things to do. We had to work, you know, office production. We had to work on set. There was a lot of different things we had to do. And it was like the go for, where people start at the bottom and you have to work your way up. Yeah, right. So that was a rich experience.
I've never heard that before. That's funny.
Yeah, it was a rich experience, you know, working with I met a lot of movie stars like Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry, Robin Givens, you know, a whole load of people. You know, it was pain. You know, I got to be on production set when the director would change the script. Like say an actor's dialogue, like a line got changed. Every day there would be changes on the script, and the script would become a different color. So when the final print was done for the script, on set we were ready to film that day. Say if the director made an adjustment to a line, the script would be blue. So the whole crew would know, oh, okay, the director made an edit to the dialogue, to a line. So we knew that there was a change done because there was a change in color. So if the next day, if there was a different color, say the paper became pink, and the next day it changed again, it could be yellow or, I don't know, light blue. You know, there are different colors. And the colors rotate back around again, you know. So every time the color changed, there was a change to the script. So that was, you know, the structure. That was production structure. We couldn't afford to make mistakes. You know, if I were to make a mistake and it cost the production millions of dollars, they would have to fire me.
Yeah, because then they would delay everything.
Right, they would fire me. Yeah. So I had to make sure it was perfect.
Wow.
My work was perfect. We had to be prepared and organized.
So that was probably more of a challenge for you.
Yeah, when no interpreter.
Just to make sure.
No interpreters.
Right, there was no miscommunication.
Right.
Because they don't care if you're deaf or whether you didn't have an interpreter or access. They want to make sure that you are following the timeline. And if you don't follow the timeline, well, too bad for you.
Right.
No interpreter, oh well.
Right. Right.
Wow, so how did you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that field, like, has it improved? Has it made slight progress? Big improvements?
Mean now?
Yeah, now, like,
compared to like
has it
20
started
years
to
ago?
provide more access? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's been huge changes, of course.
Changes.
Yes, of course. You know, I mean, being a person from that time, like say back in the 90s, you know, I started my own production company. I learned from them, and I was, you know, they didn't give me anything. I didn't know anything. There was nothing. I just had to figure it out myself.
So you had kind of had firsthand experience, and that you can tell other people, like, hey, I remember, you know, back in the days, we didn't have any access at all.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
There was, and today, you know, I've made 15 films. I've written 10 scripts. Some of the scripts are still in production. You know, I'm still writing. Mm-hmm. I'm 55. Well, I'll be 55 tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm great. And now I'm developing my own TV show with top Hollywood executives. And I have a co-writer. I work in collaboration with them, and they have experience. They know the TV landscape real well. They're very knowledgeable about that. And I don't. You know, I'm an independent filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I know, I've won awards. You know, I know about the independent filmmaking world. And you know, I make decisions. I'm a decision maker. And so now working with another team in collaboration, you know, we have to make compromises, you know, but with the writers that I'm working with, they have no knowledge about, you know, deaf culture, about the queer community, about the Jamaican community. They have no knowledge. So I try to give them, you know, resources, and I hope that they use them, you know, as a writer and as a writer who's deaf and a person of color, I know when someone's not really done their homework.
Right.
You know, like it's easy for me to catch when something is being glossed over. When anything's being glossed over, I can catch that, and I'm like, no, that's not right. That doesn't add up. You know, I can catch that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Give me a second. Okay. I guess just kidding. Two more. So right now, most of the people that are in the public spotlight are typically, you know, white.
Right.
You know, we have Niall and Matley, and we have, you know, different just deaf actors who are out there that are being spotlighted. How has your journey been trying to make a name for yourself?
Well, I've already made a name for myself.
Okay, work.
Wait, yeah. I mean, I don't compare, you know, and I don't need to. If you compare, then that's the problem, because you have to know yourself, your journey, your goals. It doesn't matter if it takes a while, you know, but some people blow up real quick, and sometimes they're sometimes it's their privilege. They're privileged. But I would never compare myself with anybody else. No. I know what I stand for. You know, my worth, I know it. You know, I know my sense of worth. And I have my own recognition. People do recognize my work. Often, you know, I get requests to present, and I'm not cheap.
Right.
I mean, I know my sense of worth. Right. But as far as Right. So, and people have their own interpretation of success. My interpretation of success doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean fame. It's hard work itself, and how the person feels about themselves. Oh, I feel good. I've done this. I'm good. But to get a lot of likes, right. A lot of likes, oh, I got all this attention. I'm popular. People like me. Da, da, da. I mean, it's a little narcissistic. When people depend on that, when they rely on that attention, they need that constant attention to feel good, to feel fulfilled. But what happens when your internet goes out? What are you going to do then? What are they going to do with themselves?
Right. Yeah, and that's true for many people.
I'm from that era where there was no social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used mail. I remember when I was hosting events, I would send out letters to people, to the community. Hey, come to my event, come to my film screening. I remember mailing these out, and then
letters, flyers, printing them out, passing them out.
Yeah, word of mouth, and people will come. And this was before the internet and social media, but now we live in an era where people depend on that constant attention. Oh, it has to be about me. I'm important. I'm popular. I have a lot of followers. It's all about me. But that's it. Where's the work? Where is that work you did?
You lose sight.
Right. Where's that work? Where's the blood and the sweat and the creativity? Where's that at?
Right.
This is what counts. To me, that's what success is.
Yeah, I don't think I need to ask you any more questions after that. That's like a perfect ending to this conversation, honestly. I mean, honestly, that's good advice for anyone to follow, because it's really easy to compare ourselves with other people. And then it's really easy for us to start just getting deeper into that rabbit hole of self-doubt. And then it leads us to not even trying. I actually heard a phrase today that says, if you don't try, you won't fail, but also you won't succeed.
Right.
So try.
Right. And it's unless you try, well, they say when you have a goal for something, say you have no goal and you see, okay, so trends. What's in and what's popular? Like a new challenge or the new hashtag, or, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that challenge. Oh, somebody else has done it, so I'm going to do it. It's all about following. But where's the focus on creativity? Where's, it's the content itself. What are you doing for the community, and what can I do for myself to make sure that it's benefiting me and it's benefiting the community?
Right.
It's both of us. It's equal,
Elevate each other.
Right. So that's why I started that hashtag, Deaf Talent. When I started that in 2012, let me back up a little bit. I'll give you a little history. I know I'm a little over 15 minutes, but I think it's worth mentioning. When I started Mica, Mica stands for Multicultural International Consortium of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Artists and Activists, MICA for short. So we had Runway, which meant, it was a fashion show that we hosted for the community, but on a higher end. It was a higher end fashion show. And that started in 2000 for the community. I was a producer, and I had an idea of how do I get two communities to collaborate? How can I get these two organizations to work together? One was Black and Deaf advocacy group based here, and the other was a deaf woman. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a Deaf Women's Union? Yeah. It wasn't Deaf Women's of Color. It was Deaf Women United. It was more white based, but there were some people of color involved. I was a former board member, and so I was thinking So I was a board member on both orgs, and I was like, hey, to one org, do you want to do this work? You like this idea? They liked it. I was all right. But so I went to the other group. Hey, do you like this idea? Do you want to collaborate? All right, cool. So we can collaborate and celebrate diversity together. Awesome. So I was thinking, okay, how can we have a nice celebration. You know, we can have like a runway show, a fashion show, a talent showcase, an artist showcase, and there was something else. Let me think. No, yeah, those are the main events. And yeah, so that was back in 2000. It was small. It was a small event. And then we did it again. Well, we didn't do it in 2002 or in 2004. There was a demand. People wanted it. They're like, hey, this was fun. You know, we had it here in New York. And so I was like, okay, fine. Well, let's host another one. And this one was in 2006. And this one was more expanded. So we had our runway show. We had a talent showcase. We had an artist showcase. We had a film showcase. It was nice. And we had a huge turnout. And this one was over 2 or 3 days. It was more higher end. It required, you know, you had to be qualified. I had questions, you know, I wanted to know about the participants' background, you know, make sure that they were the right person to volunteer, or, you know, I care a lot about boundaries. I care about that. People don't understand boundaries itself. No, I care about that. So I asked them questions, and they had an application they needed to fill out. There was like models that came out. There was deaf talent. And some people said, hey, this is a strange philosophy you had. I'm like, well, hey, this is my style. This is business. You know, this is business. And I wanted to see if they would respect that. And if they had a problem with that, then obviously this isn't for you, you know? Let me just make that clear. Mm-hmm. So with Mica and the role that I had with the fashion show and the Mica film showing and the Mica talent showcase, you know, it was a celebration of diversity. To have that on this whole, like under this whole umbrella, it was awesome. But then in 2010, I decided, you know, I was done with it. So that's a wrap for that. So I decided to close that up. And then the hashtag Deaf Talent came into the picture. But understand that when I was working with Mica, anything having to do with Mica, like the fashion show or the showcase, that was a foundation for all of my film projects. Mm-hmm. Way before I earned any money, way before then. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was cool, you know, to raise all that money. It was thousands of dollars that I raised for my filmmaking, for my film projects. But then, like, when opportunities to earn money came up, I was like, all right, that was a new challenge. So with the Deaf Talent hashtag, it started off as Deaf Talent of Color. That was the hashtag. You know, it was a part of a film campaign I had at the time, where I wanted to spread awareness, you know, to Hollywood that, you know, we need more talent, like we need more voice. We need to inform Hollywood, like, hey, like, where are these writers, producers of color? Like, yeah, we had some actors here and there, but there was no TV show. There was nothing created by deaf or hard of hearing people. Like, there was nothing. So I wanted to do something about that and also elevate us. You know, for some reason in 2015, white people took the hashtag and deleted of color from it. So that meant all the attention was just on them, and they only cared about advocating themselves amongst each other, like the white deaf, and they blocked us. They kept me out. They kept other people out. And it was only few exceptions made, like, oh, they liked one of us, you know, they liked one person of color or one black person. But if somebody else who was black or a person of color wanted to, say, follow their system or whatever they had going on, like, oh, you know, that would be cool. Click. Right, like that. It was clicky. Yeah. You know, I'm loud and I'm vocal and I have ideas, and, you know, my ideas, they thought they were cool. They stole my hashtag, you know? So it was 5 years of fighting with them and making noise and being like, hey, everybody, hey, look, them over there, they stole my shit. That's my shit. That's my shit right there. They stole mine. So I got it back. It took years. I took it back from them. But then finally, last year, I decided to, you know, I tried to approach it with a business sense, you know. I wanted to, it's a cutthroat world, you know? So I realized, why not I do this the right way, the legal way? So I decided to apply for a trademark. And so I got it back. They approved it. And I realized that would be my power to use as a way where I'd be able to elevate Black Native, brown, queer communities. Like, hey, we have this power. I have this power. I'm able to do a lot with this power, you know? So yes, I'm going to sell merch. And the funny thing was the same clique, when I was like, hey, you don't have my permission to use that trademark anymore. Like, that's mine. They're like, hey, but you're selling clothes. And I'm like, no. Like, they know. You know, I started this movement. I started the support.
Right.
And I was like, and you really had to go there? You know, like, they knew.
Right.
They know.
Right.
They knew.
Right. Well, it's been such a pleasure and an honor really talking to you today for the second time.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange because I think for them, they're like annoyed, you know, they're sick of me. You know, I'm very knowledgeable about the industry. I'm very knowledgeable about social justice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm in favor for the underdogs, the hidden gems. And they call it division. I'm like, no, it was them. They were the ones who created that division.
Mm-hmm.
They know about we as Black people, Black deaf, it doesn't matter, how we are oppressed by the system in so many different ways, with housing, with education, with employment.
It's a long list. With
entertainment, even within our own community, even like from friends that are deaf and white. So I'm like, so we have, I'm old enough, right? I'm old enough to tell you that based on what I've seen. You know, I can't deny it. I'm a trendsetter. I've seen my ideas be taken. I've seen my ideas be stolen. And I don't get any credit for it. My hashtag being one of them.
Wow. Wow, that's really deep. It's really deep.
Mm.
Wow,
and yet,
Jade.
here I am. Here I rise.
Yes, work. Well, Jade, thank you so much for your time. Yes, thank you.
Did everything come out okay? Is it okay? I hope it is.